Hello everyone, my name is Abhilasha and I'm a VRC educator on Unacademy. Today's session we will be talking about the orientation to VRC, but before I begin this session, let us quickly talk about the need for the skill builder batch. Now, as we have been already talking to you and we have spoken in the orientation, there are so many students who require CAT preparation but who haven't as yet decided to start off with their CAT preparation. So this is a perfect course for you to start with your CAT basics, for you to understand where CAT will take you and then start preparing for your exam. So we are in this course skill builder batch. We will be covering one topic every day. So we will do 6 classes a week, 2 of QA, 2 of VRC and 2 of LRDI, where each of your educator will be taking up a class. Now the classes for this batch will be recorded and will be put up every night at 9 p.m. So you will get a video at 9 p.m. Now you will say that how will we interact with our teachers? How do we solve our doubts? Well, we have already thought about that. So for that, what we have done, there are two ways you can get your doubts resolved. One, you can comment in the comments here and we will respond to the comments. So that's one. The other and the more beautiful way is that once a week, your educators will get together with you and live for a doubt solving session. So if you do have any doubts, all you have to do is wait for the end of the week where we will meet and we will discuss your doubts in detail. So any doubts that you have during the week, you can bring them to us and we will resolve them right then, right there. Okay, so I hope this is something that will really make you feel happy and make you feel very relieved that this is something wonderful that we are doing. So don't worry, don't fret, just get started with this preparation. It's going to be a wonderful journey for all of us. Now, who is this batch perfect for? Well, this batch is perfect for anyone who is right now working and therefore doesn't have time during the day. Well, 1 hour every day during the weeks from Monday to Saturday, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. So while you're having your dinner, just attend the class, just sit with us, listen to what we are saying, and then maybe after 10 o'clock, once we give you the practice, you can do the practice. So in 1.5 to 2 hours, you will be done for the day and your preparation will be sorted. So yes, that is one more wonderful thing that we are doing. At the end of every session, you will get one practice sheet which you can solve and you can practice the concepts that we have discussed in that particular class. So that is the plan for us. Okay. I hope this will be very, very helpful. So all the people who are working, this is a great course for you. For anyone who's in college, if you are in your second year, your third year, your final year of college, so either your ultimate year of college or your penultimate year of college, if you are in either of these, then again this course will be wonderful for you. You can come in, study with us during the day, do your college, and in the evening while at night you come with us and study for this batch. So this is the plan of action for us, guys. Right now we have decided the course of action for the next 1 month. So that's we have already put out the schedule also. I hope you have been able to look at the schedule. We'll talk a little bit about all of that, what you need to do, how you need to prepare and so on in today's session. Today's session, as you can see, is an orientation to VRC for CAT and also OMETs. I will not miss out on OMETs. OMETs are the other management entrance tests. For example, you have XAT, which is Xavier Aptitude Test. You have SNAP, which is the Symbiosis National Aptitude Test. You have IFT Entrance Test. You have NMAT, which is the Narsi Munji Aptitude Test. So you will have a host of other exams also that some of you will be writing. So this course is not just purely focused towards CAT, but will also help anyone who's writing the other exams also. So if you are one of those who's not just writing CAT, but also writing XAT and NMAT and SNAP and IFT and TISNET and CMAT, then this course can also work wonders for you. So fret not, just join us for this journey. I'm sure you will really find this to be very, very helpful to you. So that's the idea and that's the plan. So before I begin, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Abhilasha. I've been teaching for the last 22 years for CAT and other entrance exams. I have written CAT many times. I have cracked a 99.99 percentile in CAT VRC 9 times. I've co-authored a book called Quantitative Aptitude and Reasoning, which is an excellent book for OMATs. It doesn't touch CAT level, but it is definitely very, very good for OMATs. So if you are planning to write your OMATs, this is a great book, and especially the reasoning section touches very closely with all your entrances. So whether it is Mahaset, whether it is SNAP, whether it is IFT, whether it is CMAT, the reasoning and quant will really help you. Now, I have trained over 1 lakh students over these 22 years. I have trained students for exams such as CAT, CLAT, GMAT, GATE, SSC, Bank PO, UPSC and other exams, because English, of course, you understand, is something that is the language of the exam for a lot of us. So therefore, a lot of exams I have covered while I was training, and of course. So that's a little bit about me. If you wish to connect with me, all you have to do is you can connect with me on Unacademy Plus Learners app. Just find me by my name and we can connect, or else you can also find me on social media, or you can also follow me on Unacademy. Okay, so that's that. Also on Telegram you can find me by MBA Cat 23. That's my Telegram channel, and yeah, that's how we can connect. Anyway, so that's a little bit about me. Let's get started with the session. So we are going to be talking about VARC section for CAT. How does one improve their VARC section in CAT? Well, here I am. I will give you a detailed introduction, also some tips and tricks to ace your VARC section without fretting. So let's get started on our journey for CAT VARC. What is VARC? Well, VARC is verbal ability and reading comprehension. Now, this is that one section which forms part of almost all examinations. So, if you look at any of the entrance tests, whether it is CAT, whether it is ZAT, whether it is NMAT, whether it is any examination, whether it is GMAT, you will find that essentially three things are being tested in all the exams. So, you have quantitative aptitude, you have data interpretation and logical reasoning, and you have verbal ability and reading comprehension. These are the three pillars of any aptitude test. So whenever there is an aptitude test, these are the three areas that are being tested. So in CAT as well as in ZAT or any of your other entrances, this is one of the sections that is tested very, very heavily. Now, what does the VARC section comprise of? Well, VARC section has essentially 5 areas. So, you will say, what are these areas? So, let us quickly understand what are these 5 areas that we are talking of, that I am telling you of. So, the first area and the foremost area is reading comprehension. Now, what do I mean by reading comprehension? Have you ever come across reading comprehension? Well, yes, you have come across reading comprehension. If you have been in school, I'm sure in school they used to give you something called an unseen passage. Every board has some component of unseen passage in it, where you get a paragraph or a small set of paragraphs, 2 or 3, one article, which you have not seen, and then there are a few questions based on that and you are supposed to answer that. So that exactly is what reading comprehension is. To read something and comprehend it and then thereafter answer questions on it. So reading comprehension is an integral section of our CAT preparation, and all exams, trust me, will have some amount of reading comprehension as part of their syllabus. Okay. Now, why is it that these exams test you on reading comprehension? Why do I need to be tested on reading comprehension? Please understand that while you'll be in college, whichever college that is, there will be a lot of reading that you will be doing. Okay, you will be doing books, you will be doing case studies, you will be doing journals, you will be reading a lot of things. Now, if you are not able to read and comprehend that material, you will not be able to survive in college. So how does a college test if you are able to survive there? So they will test you on those baseline skills that you need for survival. And reading comprehension is one of those baseline skills, and that's why all exams test you on reading comprehension. So therefore, reading comprehension is going to be part of all your exams. So you will be given one or two, or most exams have 3 or 4 passages where there will be some questions that will be associated with those passages, and you will be answering questions based on those passages. So that's reading comprehension, your first section. The second section is para-based questions or para-based comprehension. Now, what do I mean by para-based comprehension and how is it different from reading comprehension? Well, the para-based questions will have just one para associated with them. So that's the basic difference between these. Okay. The difference, I hope you've understood, is that wahan pe, when you are doing reading comprehension, there will be a passage, there will be an RC, a complete passage, while in para-based questions, there will be just one paragraph. So that's segment number 1, reading comprehension, and segment number 2, para-based. So para-based questions, guys, you have understood that there will be a paragraph, and based on that paragraph, certain questions will be asked. Now, what kind of questions are asked on para-based comprehension? So you have something called a para-jumble. Now, what's a para-jumble? A paragraph is given and some sentences are taken up from that, and those sentences are jumbled up and they're offered to you, and you're expected to put them into the correct order. So that's para-jumbles, first portion of your para-based questions. The second portion of your para-based questions is para-summary. Now, what is a para-summary? So you're given a paragraph and you're supposed to identify what the correct summary is. Now, you don't have to write the summary. That's the good thing. In school, you were writing summary. Here, you don't have to write the summary. Here, all you need to do is you need to identify what the correct summary is from the given options. So that's the second type of question based on paragraphs. The third type of question that is based on paragraph is the odd one out. Now, odd one out was a very beautiful set of questions where, again, like a para-jumble, you would get 3 or 4 sentences, and one of the sentence would be an odd sentence. That means it would not be part of this set. So your task would be to identify which sentence is not part of this set and mark that as your answer. So that's odd one out. But the interesting thing about odd one out is in CAT 2022, there were 0 questions of odd one out. So for the last 5-6 years, there were at least 2 questions of odd one out in every VA section. But this year, interestingly, there were no questions of odd one out. So then what was the VRC? What was the VA section about? So the new question type has come in, and this new question type was a ParaCompletion. Now, what do I mean by ParaCompletion here? Well, what they had done was they had given you a sentence and then they had given you a passage where certain blanks were given. And you had to identify in which blank would you fit the sentence. So it was essentially take that sentence and place it in one of these blanks and fit it in. So that was one new question that came in. So that is called para-completion. So now this year we have them in CAT 2022. We had 3 questions on para-based. We had the para-jumble questions. Okay. We had the para-jumble questions. We had the para-summary questions, and we had the we did not have the odd one out. We had the para-completion questions. So odd one out was struck out and para-completion was there. Then the next thing that is tested is verbal reasoning. Now, what do I mean by verbal reasoning? Well, verbal reasoning is all about reasoning based on language, right? Based on text. So what kind of reasoning are we talking of? We are talking about para-based comprehension. So there is critical reasoning, what is called. So para-based critical reasoning. You have some sentence-based critical reasoning also. So they could ask you what is a fact, what is an inference, what is a judgment. So that's called FIJ. They could ask you if a statement is given, then what are the assumptions that can be associated with it. If a statement is given, then what can be concluded from that. So statement assumption, statement conclusion. They could give you a paragraph and then ask, take a few sentences from that and ask what is the degree of truth of these statements according to the passage. Are they definitely true, definitely false, probably true, probably false? They could give you a statement and ask what is the probable courses of action that you could take. They could give you 2 sentences and ask you to identify what is the cause, what is the effect. They could give you propositional logic based on that syllogisms, or what you call deductive logic. The questions that you solve with Venn diagrams, all cats are dogs, all dogs are donkeys, and so on. They could give you logical consistency or logic gates that we call. So all of these could be part of verbal reasoning. A lot of exams have this as a separate section, so that also. Then the next thing that is tested in exams is vocabulary. So vocabulary is essential. Of course, you know that. Why is it essential? Number one, because of course vocabulary forms the backbone of everything. If you don't know your words, then how are you going to be solving your passages? So vocabulary is essential. And then thereafter you also have grammar. Now in grammar there are many questions also. So for vocabulary you get questions which could be baseline questions. You could also be getting direct questions, and you could just be using vocabulary for understanding. Similarly grammar also. You could get direct questions on grammar. So you could get sentence correction, error identification. You could get fill in the blanks based on grammar. You could get active passive voices. You could get direct, indirect. You could get so many types. You could get how to identify what verb is there, what tense is there in a particular sentence. So there can be so many things that are tested in grammar also. Also, even if you're not tested on grammar, still your understanding of grammar needs to be very strong. Why would you say that? Well, because again, like vocabulary, grammar is a baseline skill. If you don't know your grammar very well, a lot of times you will miss out on the essence of a sentence. You will miss out on what the sentence wanted to say. You could miss what the writer really wanted to tell you. Okay. So therefore vocabulary and grammar are part of the questions, but are also absolute essential baseline skills. So this is what your VARC syllabus would look like. So reading comprehension, para-based questions, verbal reasoning, vocabulary and grammar. These are the 5 essential areas that you are tested on in any of the MBA entrance exams. Now some of you will say, ma'am, but specifically for CAT, if you could tell us what is being tested. Well, specifically for CAT, if you were looking for just CAT guys, then we must understand that in CAT only 2 areas are specifically tested. One is reading comprehension and the other is para-based questions. So these are the ones that are specifically tested in CAT. Everything else, that means all the 5 will be tested in the OMETs. So if you're writing any of the other entrances, then reading comprehension, para-based, verbal, vocabulary and grammar, everything is tested in these exams. We'll talk further about all of this, and we will take it further into the different types of questions, how you should do your preparation, what all should you keep in mind, and so on. Let's continue. I hope all of this is clear. If you do have any doubts at any point of time, remember the comment section is available for you to put the comments in, and I will answer the questions as we go along. Alright, so what is this VARC syllabus all about, and what are we being tested, and what is the exam pattern and all of that. So let us talk a little bit about the CAT exam pattern and what is the syllabus. So CAT 2000, CAT has changed its color over the past few years, guys. Now you must understand that when I wrote my first CAT, there were 4 sections in CAT. So there was a reading comprehension section, there was a verbal ability section, there was a reasoning section, and then there was a math section. So there were 4 very different sections then. And there were 200 questions. There were 50 questions on reading comprehension, 5 passages, and 10 questions in each, and the pattern was very different from what it is now. Well, I was talking of my CAT. My first CAT I wrote in the year 1998. So that was a very long time ago. But since CAT 2015, CAT has changed its pattern and has more or less kind of crystallized what is it that they are looking for in the exam. And therefore, the exam has more or less become very standard in pattern. Now, what do I mean by a very standard exam? Well, from 2015 onwards, the type of questions have really reduced. So they are now limited to reading comprehension and verbal ability. In CAT, I am just talking of CAT right now. So they limited themselves to these two things. So you would have reading comprehension and you would have verbal ability. And these are the two areas. And in reading comprehension, there would be 4 passages, and each of the passages would have a certain number of questions, and you identify those answers. Similarly, in verbal ability section, you would have 3 types of questions. You would have para-jumbles, you would have para-summary, and you would have odd one out. 2015 was the first year that odd one outs came as a question. So they've kind of crystallized and standardized this pattern. But then COVID happened, and that time also the paper was 3 hours. 3 hours, 100 questions, and that's how it was. Well, then COVID-19 struck, and in 2020, the paper changed its pattern. So they reduced the number of questions, and they also reduced the time, because obviously during the COVID era, it would be very difficult to sanitize and fumigate and clean up the center if you had 3-hour slots on the same day, 3 slots of 3 hours. That was just impossible. So what they did was, instead, they reduced the time of the exam from 3 hours to 2 hours, and subsequently also reduced the questions. So in 2020, there were some 76 questions. But then the examination body, the CAT consortium, realized that that was also a bit too much for 2 hours. So then they reduced the number of questions in CAT 2021 to 66 questions. So now we have a paper that is 2021 and 22. There was the same pattern. So there were 24 questions in VARC. There were 20 questions in LRDI, and there were 22 questions in quantitative aptitude. So the paper again now is more or less crystallized in terms of what the number of questions is. So you have in VARC, let's write it down. So in VARC, you have 24 questions. In QA, you have 22 questions. And in LRDI, you have 20 questions. So that is now the pattern of the exam for the last 2 years. And we assume that it will continue because, as you already know, COVID is not going anywhere. So therefore, the centers have to be cleaned in between the exam and so on. So the paper will probably continue to remain a 2-hour paper. And if it remains a 2-hour paper, then this pattern is going to more or less stay. We are not changing this pattern. Okay. So let's assume that 23 and 24 will also be 2-hour long papers with the same number of questions as have happened in 21 and 22. Now let's understand again what were these questions and the breakup and division. So there were total of 24 questions in VRC, out of which there were 19 multiple choice questions and there were 5 theta questions. Now, what do I mean by multiple choice and what do I mean by theta questions? Well, CAT is a paper where you have different types of questions. So, some questions come with options, right? They are called multiple choice questions. So, you have choices A, B, C, D and only 4 choices, not 5, 4 choices. So, you have choices A, B, C, D or 1, 2, 3, 4. So, certain number of questions, for example, reading comprehension, okay, for example, ParaSummary, are multiple choice questions. So they give you answers and you have to identify what is the correct answer. But there are certain questions which are also type in the answer questions or the theta type. Now in the theta type of question, they give you a square in which you have to write your answer. You have to type in the answer. That is why it says type in the answer or theta question. Now, para-jumbles is a theta question. Also earlier, odd ones out were also, some of them were theta questions. Now this year, since the odd ones out didn't come, we had ParaCompletion. So that was a little different. Anyway, so ParaCompletions were not theta. They were just MCQs. Now, what is the advantage or disadvantage of multiple choice questions or TETA questions? Well, with a multiple choice question, there is negative marking involved. So, there is a marking scheme of +3 and -1 involved in the multiple choice. So, if they're giving you a choice of answers, they're also giving you a negative mark with that. In the TETA question, there is no negative. So, if you attempt it, you get a +3. If you leave it, you get 0. So, there is no impact on your score. So, that's your TETA questions. Okay. Now, what is the division of question? Let's understand that. So, there were 4 RCs, 16 questions in all, 4 passages having 4 questions each. Okay. There were 8 questions, of course. Obviously, if 16 questions there, then 8 questions here. Now, in 8 questions, you had para-jumbles, you had para-summary, and you had para-completion. The numbers were different in some papers. So, some you had 3 para-jumbles, 2 para-completion, 3 para-summary, or they were switch arounds, but total of 8 questions in VA. So the breakup of the question is now standard: 16 RC and 8 VA. Of these 16 questions, 4 into 4, that means 4 passages of 4 questions each, and 8 questions of VA. So, para-jumble, para-completion and para-summary. Now, we don't know for sure if para-completions is going to be staying for next year also, or if it is going to be replaced with odd ones out. Well, so anyway, that does not matter. We will practice for both para-completions and para-summary. The total time that is given, that is devoted to this section, is 40 minutes. And like I've already told you, the main topics are para-jumbles, para-summary, para-completion and reading comprehension. So that's a little bit about your exam. I hope this is clear. If you have any doubts, please feel free to put it down in the comments. Okay, so here are a few sample questions of different types that you will find in your exam. So reading comprehension, you already know that a passage could be given to you and you would be expected to answer the passage. Now, what I'm doing here is, guys, at any point of time when you read a question, I will not spend a lot of time in holding up the question. What you do is you pause the video then and there and read the question and then come back and continue with the video. Okay, so that's going to be your task. Pause the video wherever you have to read. Take your time, read it. I'll give you the time that you should spend on reading. Take your time, read it, and then come back and continue the video from whichever point you are currently at. Okay. Alright, so this is a sample question on reading comprehension. I did not put a full RC because I knew we would take a lot of time in reading. So I've just given you a small short passage so that you can understand this is how a sample question could look like. So here is one RC. It will be followed by a question. Of course, in CAT, it will not be followed by one question. It will be followed by 4 questions. So, and the passage would be around 450 words to 550 words. So that means it would be around 3 to 4 paragraphs of reading for you. Okay. So 3 to 4 paragraphs of reading would approximately mean 3 minutes of reading. Okay, 3 minutes of reading and then 4 questions to follow. Okay, so 3 minutes to read and then 4 questions. So every question 1.5 minutes, to total of 7 to 8 minutes every RC will take. So questions, of course, could be of many types. The questions could ask you to identify some fact from the passage, could ask you to identify some exception from the passage. The question could ask you to identify some critical fact from the passage, some reasoning from the passage. It could ask you to identify something that will strengthen the author's argument or weaken the author's argument. It could also ask you to apply your knowledge to what the writer has said and then take it forward. So there could be many things that the questions could ask you. So sample questions could come in many forms and could give you many things. So reading comprehension, question types would be many. As you already know, this course that I am starting now, we will be focusing on reading comprehension. So there will be a lot of reading comprehension that we will talk about. And therefore, if you follow us or if you follow all the VRC classes, you will be able to work on your reading comprehension in a very cool, comfortable and easy manner, and you'll be able to understand your VRC and your reading comprehension very, very well. Okay, so here is one question. I'm not going to solve you because this is just solve this question for you because this is just a sample question, but the question could look like this. So if the statements above are true, which of the following is most strongly supported by them, or some such other question. This is a conclusion question, so you identify what the conclusion of the passage is. Now this is a para-jumble question, so you get a few sentences. Here there are 3 sentences and you have to arrange these questions in the correct order. Again, if you wish to take a minute and read this question, you can pause the video and then come back to us. Okay. So here are three statements which are in a jumbled order and you have to arrange them into the correct order. So that is called para-jumble. Now the interesting thing is that para-jumble questions could be of 3 sentences, it could be of 4 sentences, it could be of 5 sentences. But generally the standard is 4 sentences that are given to you in your exam. So 4 sentence questions. Now para-jumble, remember, is a theta question. So at the end of the para-jumble you would get a blank like this. And you would key in your answer something like 312. I'm not saying 312 is the right answer, trust me, but I'm just giving you that you will be keying in the answer. Also the good thing will be, because it's a theta question, there will be no negative in this question. Okay. So that's something that you can keep in mind. Alright, the third type of question will be an odd one out question. Now remember, this is the one that now is no longer existing in your exam or was not there in CAT 2022. I won't say it is no longer existing because who knows, CAT may just bring it back. So for now, in CAT 2022 it was not there. So we will also learn the new type of question so that we are prepared, but we'll also learn this one. So odd one out. So I have 5 sentences here. 4 of these will form a coherent passage and 1 of them will be an odd one out. So our task is to identify which one is the odd one out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Find the connection and find the odd one out. That's the answer. Now odd one out also is a theta question. So that means again at the end of this you will get a blank and you will be answering what question, what sentence is the odd one out. So maybe 4, maybe 3, whatever. Okay, so that's again, so therefore no negative. So this is a good question type for us to learn. The next type is a ParaSummary. Okay, now what is a ParaSummary? Here you are, as you can see, a paragraph is given to you. It's only one paragraph. They don't give you longer than that. A paragraph is given and then 4 possible summaries are given. And you have to identify what is the correct summary. So that's going to be your task. Identify what the correct summary is all about. Now because this one is an MCQ, it's a multiple choice question, so there will be a +3 and -1 pattern of marking. So you have to remember that there will be a negative pattern of marking also. Now the next type of question is the ParaCompletion. Now this was the new type that was introduced. Now I'll tell you one thing. Earlier also we have seen ParaCompletion questions in CAT. But then generally the ParaCompletion was of a different type. So an entire paragraph would be given and 1 blank would be given then earlier. And in that blank they would give you 4 possible choice of blanks and you had to identify which of those sentences would fit the blank. Okay. So it was more about ParaCompletion or more about filling the blanks. Here what they have done is, as you can see in this paragraph, they have given you 3 or 4 blanks. So here they have given you 3 blanks, 1, 2 and 3. And they have given you 1 sentence. It's eerie how much of life can be transferred. Now you have to, this is from CAT only, this year's CAT. So you have to fit this 1 sentence in one of these blanks. So will it go in blank 1, will it go in blank 2 or will it go in blank 3? Okay. And then accordingly the number of the blank will be your answer. So 1, 2, 3 or 4, whatever, wherever this one has fit. Now the fun thing is, so this is not really about fill in the blanks only, but it's also about arrangement of sentence. Because this sentence has to come in sync with the sentence prior to it and the sentence after it. So I'm also trying to see how well I can arrange this sentence with the sentence prior to blank 1 and after blank 1, or prior to blank 2 and after blank 2. So therefore this question was more of a mix of a para-completion and a para-jumble. I really found this question to be a very interesting question type, very interesting, and a very good type. And the questions, of course, this time, because probably it was the first time they were giving the questions were very easy to solve. So anyone who did attempt this, especially in the first lot, you have an edge. The questions were fairly easy. They were fairly easy. So this was that lollipop that they give, what you call a sitter. So these were the sitters. But the problem was, because they came the first time, people went into a state of shock. They could not understand this question, and therefore there were some problems. So that's your para completion. So these are all the question types that you will find in CAT. Okay. Now that's what I'm saying in CAT. The other exams, there will be some others, and we'll talk about those also. Well, certain things to keep in mind when you're preparing. Number one, the VRC section is time consuming, but it doesn't have any calculations, guys. So that's an easy section, trust me. Quant, remember, there will be lots of counting, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and so on. Here, no calculations, so life is easy. It is easy to score well in this section, but consistent practice is key. That means every single day you must practice for some time. I say 2 to 3 hours, but at least 1 hour of practice has to happen. Okay. Now don't expect only multiple choice questions. I've already told you that theta questions are also asked, and theta questions are very valuable. We must attempt all the theta questions. Okay. We've already said that 16 questions will be from reading comprehension. When I say 16 out of 24 questions, that means 2/3 of the paper is reading comprehension. Therefore, you cannot try to ignore reading comprehension. That is something that we cannot do. That we can ignore reading comprehension and say, oh, I will not do this portion. I will do some other random stuff. No. Reading comprehension is life and death. So therefore, this is going to be very important. Imagine 2/3 of a section is devoted to only reading comprehension. So it's going to be very important for you. So for anyone who's doing CAT preparation, remember, reading comprehension is key to it. Okay, that's very important. So I will write it here. RC is the key to CAT. Okay. Now yesterday I was talking to one of the CAT toppers, and fun fact, he said, I started solving, I solve all the RCs. I don't pick and choose. I just do all 4. And that's what he did in CAT. And he was telling us that the first RC I solved, it was very tough. I solved it. I went to the second RC, it was very tough. I solved it. I went to the third RC, it was absolutely a lollipop. And then I went to the fourth RC, and it was absolutely a lollipop. Well, I would have asked you not to solve all the RCs sequentially, but that was his choice anyway, whatever his plan was. But my plan would have been to take 5 minutes out, go through the RCs, and choose the ones that you want to do. So I would have asked you to do RC 3 and 4 and then get on with VA, because you would still be able to do very well in your section if you attempted 2 RCs fully and you attempted all the VA, because 2 RCs fully means 8 questions and 8 VA means a total of 16 questions, which could make you sit at a 99.99 percentile also. So therefore, reading comprehension is key to CAT, and that's very important. Yes. Now the aim of this exam is to assess your knowledge of reading as well as of comprehension. How well you're able to read as well as how well you're able to comprehend, because like I had told you earlier, the exam will not just be about, random things. It is about skills that are essential for you in the B school. So reading and comprehension is an essential skill in a B school, and therefore lots. Appearing candidates need to practice, so you need to practice from various sources consistently. We will talk about the various sources, but very quickly let me go through that. So there are three types of reading that you must do. Anyone who's reading regularly. Number one is a daily read. Now what do you read daily? You read your newspaper editorial. Okay, that's something that you can read every day. If you've never read anything, please read any newspaper in English. If you're already reading, then I'll ask you to read the Indian Express or the Hindu regularly. So daily you must read one editorial. Okay. The second thing, what do you read weekly? Okay. Now weekly you must read a few articles. I'll say 5 articles. Okay. Now where are these 5 articles going to come from? So these articles are going to come from Aeon Essays. Okay. Aeon Essays. They will come from aldaily.com. These are all available on the internet. So please don't worry that ma'am has said Aeon essay, where am I going to find it? I need to go to a library. Just Google, please, guys. That's the easiest thing. So Aeon essays, Al Daily, Guardian, which is a British newspaper. Okay. New York Times, which of course is a New York Times, that means a US newspaper. Simple. Wall Street Journal, again a US newspaper. So pick up one article from these and read it. So once a week I'm asking you to read one article from Aeon Essay, one from Al Daily, one from Guardian, one from New York Times, one from Wall Street Journal. If there's any other source that you feel like reading it from, please go ahead and read. Okay. And I will ask you, because you're starting out right now, the third thing that I will ask you to read weekly is a novel. Okay, or a book. Now the novel could be fiction. If you like fiction, that means if you like stories, please read that. You could also be reading non-fiction. Now non-fiction has a lot of scope. There is so much to read in non-fiction also. So you could read biographies, you could read autobiographies, you could read self-help books, you could read inspirational books. There are so many types of books. You could read books about your favorite sports, about your favorite careers. You could read about your adventures or whatever, anything you feel like. I will suggest start with a very small book if you have never read. Take a book that's like 100 pages or so and read consistently. If you read consistently, if you practice daily, regularly, you will be able to score a very high percentile in VARC. VARC requires only 2 things. Consistency, okay, consistency and dedication. That's it. If you can offer consistency and dedication, you will be able to crack this section very well. Okay, now some important topics in VARC. Of course, I have already talked to you about the CAT topics. I will tell you about the other exams also. So for example, we have already said that reading comprehension is tested in CAT. So let me write CAT here. Apart from that, what else is tested in CAT? Let's write that also. So ParaCompletions are tested in CAT, ParaJumbles are tested in CAT, and ParaSummaries are tested in CAT. Okay, so these are the exams that will test you. These are the sections that are tested in CAT. But apart from CAT, there are other things that are also tested, right? So what all are tested in these examinations? So for example, English usage or grammar. Now grammar is tested in a lot of exams. So whether it is ZAT, whether it is SNAP, whether it is NMAT, okay, or whether it is IFT, okay, you will get this in all the exams. So let me write it in a better fashion. Why am I writing all the story? I can just write OMATs, okay. So in OMATs, you are definitely tested on grammar. Now grammar, the questions can take many forms. So they could just give you a sentence and divide it into parts and ask you what part has an error. Now that's called an error identification. They could also take a sentence and they could underline a portion of it and ask you to identify what is the correct replacement of that. That's called a sentence replacement question. You could also get grammar based fillers also, or fill in the blanks also. So like I said, see, sentence correction, fill in the blanks, these are based on grammar. Okay, so some questions. Then based on vocabulary, a number of questions appear in all the exams. CAT doesn't test you on vocabulary, but almost all OMETs will test you on vocabulary. Now, what type of questions come in vocabulary? So, you have direct vocabulary, that is, they could ask you synonyms, antonyms, they could ask you the meaning of the word. Okay, so I'm going to ask you the meaning of one word here, and if you know the meaning, you have to key down the meaning in the comments. So, the word is very simple. Okay, the word is quibble. I will write the spelling here, and you can, if you know the meaning of this word, you can type it in the comments, guys. Okay, Quibble. What does the word quibble mean? Okay, so that's for you guys. देखते हैं किसी को आता है या नहीं आता है. So please write down the meaning of the word quibble. Okay, so you could get synonyms, antonyms directly. You could also get fill in the blanks, which are based on vocabulary. Now, fill in the blanks can be based on grammar also, they can be based on vocabulary also. So, there are certain exams which will ask you to fill in prepositions. Now, if they're asking you to fill in prepositions, you know it is based on grammar. But if they give you a sentence and they ask you to fill in the right word and just that much, then it is based on vocabulary, your knowledge of words. For example, in XAT. Now in XAT, they give you a set of they'll give you 2 or 3 sentences, and within those 2 or 3 sentences, 3 or 4 words will be missing. And then they will give you answer choices for filling those words. These words are generally common confusables, very close options, very close words. And so that's called a close, C-L-O-S-E, a close. And it is a type of vocabulary based filler. So fillers could also be a part of your OMETs. Okay, both grammar based and both vocabulary based also. Okay, so OMETs. Then sentence correction, like I have already told you. So sentence correction होंगे ही होंगे OMETs में. Okay. Then another type of question, and that is called analogies or reverse. By the way, para-jumbles will be in all exams. So all OMETs have para-jumbles. If you ever look at ZAT, then the level of the ZAT para-jumbles are slightly more tougher than the CAT para-jumbles. But all other exams also have it. Fun thing, SNAP generally gives you one sentence to arrange. So that means they don't give you many sentences, they'll give you one sentence. The words are divided into options and you have to arrange the words, and that's a very cute way of doing it. This year they didn't have it. Last year they did have 1 or 2 arrangements of sentences, of the words in the sentence. So that can also happen. So para jumble or para sentence, as in jumble sentence could also, or jumble word could also happen to you. Now, analogies or reverse analogies also happen. Now, analogy is a comparison. So, they will give you a comparison. They will expect you to identify what the comparison is. And then I apply that same relationship. Verbal reasoning, like I said, there can be so many topics based on verbal reasoning. You could get fact, inference, judgment. So, let me write OMETs here. Okay. Let me write OMETs here. Again, CAT doesn't test you on verbal reasoning directly. Fact, inference, judgment, again I will write OMETs here because a lot of times they will give you these questions. So fact, inference, judgment, one sentence is given, spot whether it is a fact, whether it is an inference, or whether it is a judgment. So tested very often in OMETs. Now word usage is a type of question that was very popular in CAT, no longer in CAT because CAT is not testing you for vocabulary, but OMETs are testing you for word usages very, very beautifully. So they'll give you a word and it is used in many ways. It could be as different parts of speech, or it could be used in different ways. And you would have to identify what way is it being used and then match up the sentences also. So very, very interesting and very nice question based on vocabulary. Then again, verbal reasoning, statement, assumption, like I have already told you. Statements आएंगे, उस पे based questions आ सकते हैं. Statement, conclusion भी आ सकते हैं. So again, a statement is given to you and you identify what the conclusion is. So OMETs, again, these could be questions and very lovely questions. The tone in reading comprehension, of course, reading comprehension is something that you will get in all exams, whether it is CAT, whether it is OMETS, any exam, you will have it. Now, if it's an exam like that, then they will also give you poem RCs, which is very fun. The tone of writing, how you write a passage, what is the writer's tone, is he happy, is he sad, is he excited, again tested in all exams, whether it is CAT, whether it is OMET. Reading skills, now like I said, because reading comprehension is an integral thing that is being tested, well, that is part of your exam. Specifically, parts of speech are also tested in OMETs. For example, this year in SNAP, they were giving you questions which asked you to identify a specific word as a modal. So which word was the modal in a sentence? You had to spot that. Or you had to identify which word is a noun or which word is a pronoun. So specific parts of speeches are also tested. Like I said, para-completions are there. Then syllogisms are also part of syllogisms, and conditionals or consistency, logical consistency are also hugely a part of all exams. So whatever exam you are writing, syllogisms and conditionals will definitely be part of that. Summary again is part of most of exams, then strong and weak arguments and so on. So there are so many question types, guys, that you will get in each one of these exams. Different types and to be handled in different manners. Now some helpful tips for you guys, what all should you keep in mind while you're solving these questions. So keep these in mind. Number one, and for your preparation, read. The first thing and the foremost thing is that you must read as much as possible. Read as widely as possible. Every day, schedule some 30 to 40 minutes. If you can schedule 1 hour, then that will be wonderful. But at least schedule 30 minutes for reading. So you can read anything. Initially, you can even read comic books, which will be fun for you to read. Read Archie's, read Tintin, read anything. Okay, it should just be in English. But if you're an advanced reader, then you can read whatever you like. Okay, you can read philosophy, politics, you can read economics, you can read technology, you can read history, you can read current affairs, everything. Read whatever you are reading. Once you are reading, also at the end of it, write down something about it. What that will do is it will help you crystallize those ideas. Dimag mein whatever is there, it is also on paper. So make sure that whatever you're reading, you keep a piece of paper with you and make short notes. Just a few words here, just a few words there. At the end of every paragraph, write 3-4 words. So you know what this paragraph is all about. So it will crystallize the idea in your mind. It will also help you remember it. It will also give you a plan of the passage. Where is what written? A lot of times people ask me, ma'am, I read the passage, but I forgot the first paragraph when I came on the 5th paragraph. Well, if you have noted it down, you will never forget it. So therefore, that's very important. Read and also make a short note of it. You can read anything. I've already given you a lot of sources of reading, so those will be very helpful. Improve your vocabulary. Vocabulary is life and death for anyone who's preparing for CAT. So don't take a risk with your vocabulary. Improve it, work at it, make an effort. Now, what all can you do for vocabulary? Well, you can make a notebook of yours, write down the words in this and go back to it again and again and revise. Refer to Google. Google is a very good dictionary. All you have to do is press the Google button and ask what is the meaning of this word. So do it. What is the harm in that, right? Whatever word you read today, write it down, write a sentence, look up its root word. Also try and identify a sentence where you would use this word and try and use it. The best thing is use a word and just understand it. If you're reading online, then it is very easy because there are all the browser extensions are there, and there are some for helping you identify the meaning also. So improve your vocabulary by also searching the meaning of a particular word, and that will be very, very helpful too. Make a plan and divide your days. Now remember, if you decide that I'm going to be doing this for a year, you will not be able to do it. So what you do is break up your plan, like we have done, like I have done. So what I have done is in January, I'm going to be teaching you reading comprehension. So the first 10 classes of our course will be focused on reading comprehension, right? So what I have done is I've taken the biggest part of your syllabus, right? And I'm giving it to you in the first 10 classes. So the biggest, when you do a Pareto analysis, you always try to solve the biggest problem first. If the biggest problem is solved, then the other problems are small. They won't hamper you as much. So that's what I have done. I have taken the biggest portion of your syllabus and I have started you off on that, and we'll divide it into smaller types, okay? And we will learn and conquer reading comprehension. So that's what you should do also. Make a plan. You are starting out now. You have almost 10 months to prepare. So of those 10 months, keep the first 5 for your concepts. Work on your concepts well. Conquer those concepts. Practice them well. Don't wait for the next year. Practice them now. Today I am teaching you something. Practice it today. Remember, at the end of the session there will be a practice sheet that will be available for you. So you can take advantage of that and practice. So that's very important, that you make a plan and you divide your days and you practice accordingly. So whatever topic I am doing, that very day practice some questions from there of that type. On Unacademy, of course, there is a lot of free material that is available. All you have to do is just go into the website or onto the app and type that question out, type of question, and you will get many practice questions. So please take advantage of that. So break up your plan. You know, there is a very interesting thought that if you decide that you're going to do something in 1 year, you will never be able to do it. But if you decide that you're going to do one small step today, you will be able to do it. So today, take that step. Take 20 minutes and read something. Just read. Take out one article. Just Google, everyone, Google Aeon essays and just go to Aeon essays and read 1-2 paragraphs from the first article that you find. Okay, that's not difficult. Spend 20 minutes on reading. If you do this every day, you will be able to read one complete article also by the end of 4 or 5 days. And that's what I want you to do. Okay. So plan, make a plan and divide your days and then accordingly start studying. Practice. Well, practice is the key to your preparation. So if you practice, you will do better. So trust me, every single day, practice, 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 you will do better. Grammar. Now, grammar is very basic. It is like elementary mathematics. It is absolutely simple. There are a few rules you have to learn, and once you're done with that, you're done with it. So what you need to do is you need to go back to your basic class 10th book and do your basics. So do your parts of speech, do the basic rules of grammar, and then you are sorted. So do make sure that you understand grammar and that you know the rules of grammar. That's something that will help you conquer your exam very beautifully. Mocks. Well, everybody will say mock करने हैं, mock करने हैं. Yes, mock करने हैं. तो पहले हम लोग अपने concepts कर ले. Let us figure out our concepts and then we will start with our mocks also. Remember, you must do a lot of mocks also. Now, how would you start preparing for your VRC? इतनी बातें कर ली, but what about VRC and how to start preparing? Well, I will tell you about reading comprehension. Okay. So, for reading comprehension, there are certain things that we need to do. Number one is we need to build our reading comprehension skills. Now, what do I mean by your reading comprehension skills? Well, see, understand this, that reading comprehension is not something that can be learnt in a day. It's not a formula that you can learn, right? I can't say that speed is equal to distance upon time and learnt and forever. No. So this is a skill. This is a life skill, and therefore it will take a bit of time for you to learn and understand and practice. So therefore, build your reading comprehension skills. How will you do it? So first you have to build a reading habit. Okay. Therefore, reading daily will become very important. That's the first thing, okay, that you will do. Every single day, read for 20 to 30 minutes. I will write 30 minutes here. I have already told you what you should be reading, but 30 minutes of reading every day. Okay. Practice, like I said, is important, and therefore, when you're reading, identify any unknown words that you get and put them down in your dictionary. Okay, put them down. That's very important. Make notes while you are reading. Like I said, whenever you will read, you will keep a piece of paper with you. On that paper, you will write down what you have read, what you have read, what you have read. That will be very helpful for you. If you write down what you're reading while you're reading, you will be able to understand what this paragraph is all about, or what the next paragraph is all about, or what the next paragraph is all about. And then at the end of the reading the passage, you will know, okay, this is the plan. This is what was there in the passage, in the first paragraph, in the second paragraph, in the third paragraph. This is a habit that you guys have to develop. Nobody has this habit. So what you're going to do is, you're going to keep a piece of paper and a pen handy. And please don't say, I will use my phone to make notes. In your exam, you will not be allowed to take your phone. So please don't get into the habit. Keep a paper, keep a pencil, and write. Let's say you read a paragraph. At the end of the paragraph, write those 3-4 words that you remember, and that you know that this is important. Now, how will you know this is important? Anything that is being repeated is important, because the writer wants you to understand. See, in this session, I have talked about reading comprehension so many times. So what is this session about? Of course, mainly about reading comprehension. So whatever the writer is wanting to talk about, he will repeat that many times. And that is what will tell you that ye important hai. So when you are reading, any word that is repeated, okay, repeated means said many times. Any word that is repeated, you will write it down. That will be important for you. Okay, I will also tell you how to spot these words when we are doing one of our sessions. But for now, whatever you feel are important things, write them down, so that you remember in this paragraph, okay, this was there in the next paragraph, this was there in the next paragraph, this was there. So make your notes while you are reading. Okay. Of course, when you will practice, you will be able to learn a lot. This practice is key. Scratch work. Okay, I will write it here. Scratch work. Okay, that's going to be very important. Learn how to do your scratch work. When you're reading, you will also be simultaneously working on your reading speed, because your vocabulary will improve, your ability to read will improve, and therefore you will be able to work on your reading speed. You don't have to do this consciously, it will happen. Okay. Now, I will tell you a lot more about your reading comprehension and what all to do when you are solving, when we will be starting our classes. So, as though today, because it's just the orientation, we are talking about all of this. But Tuesdays and Fridays at 9 p.m., I will be telling you how to make your notes, how to make your scratch work, how to identify the important words, how to spot, okay, this is what I need to read in this is what I need to pay attention in it. So everything else about reading comprehension we will cover Tuesdays and Fridays all through this month. So do make sure you're in class. Okay, some books for CAT 23 preparation. And here are a few books I've picked them up from the internet. You can take advantage. Wren and Martin, the top book for grammar. Word Power Made Easy, the best book for vocabulary improvement. Every time you will ask me what books to pick up. So I have given you another book which is very interesting. Goel publication, Wordwise. Again, an excellent book for practice of vocabulary. Then for verbal ability and reading comprehension, there are many books that are available in the market, but some books I have gone through and I've really found them to be good. So one is this book by Captain Kalia, then there is this book by Arun Sharma Meenakshi Upadhyay, there is this book by my very dear friends P. Anand and Lalit Singh, which you can use, then there is this book by Ajay Singh. So all of these books, and there is also my book which is very good for reasoning. I will not say that it's for English, obviously there's nothing about VRC in that, but for reasoning, yes. So these are a few books that you could refer to. I'm not saying you have to, because we will be providing you with a lot of study material also. So even if you don't pick up a lot of books, it's perfectly okay, acceptable. All right, so that's a little bit about your CAT preparation. Very quick announcements. Here's wishing congratulations to our CAT 23 2 toppers. You can start your CAT journey today. Here we are. Some more toppers. The Zero to Zenith batch starts for CAT 23 on 5th of January. You can use my code AbhiCatLive to join in. The best of Unacademy educators will be taking classes in this, including myself. 75 plus 99 percentilers, 100 plus 98 percentile, 110 plus 98 percentilers from Unacademy and counting. Amazing batch Zero to Zenith starting on 5th of January. The Resolve 2023 offer is on, guys. So if you're dreaming big for CAT 23, get 23% off on all Unacademy CAT subscriptions. Join the Zero to Zenith CAT 23 batch starting Jan 5. Again, you can use my code to subscribe. Here are the 2 of our subscriptions, the Plus subscription and the Iconic subscription. If you wish to take the Plus subscription, guys, the features are this. So you have digital notes, you have open house, you have unlimited access, you have Unacademy community, interactive lives, live tests and quizzes, structured courses, and ask it out and raise a hand feature. If on top of this you want some extra features, then you need to take our Iconic subscription, where you will get physical notes, you will get GDPI and WOT preparation, one-to-one live mentorship, live doubt solving, test analysis, expert guidance, Discord, and everything else apart from the Plus benefits also. So again, if you wish to take our subscription, you can use my referral code, that's AbhiCatLive. Now what's new? So every day on our app, I take a free class at 7 p.m. So if you wish to join in, you're more than welcome. I'm running 2 courses for Plus right now. One for critical reasoning for CAT and ZAT, and one for ZAT decision making and poem RCs. And the CAT 23 reading comprehension course starts on 2nd of Jan. So that will be for reading comprehension. And of course, if you wish to find me, you can find me on our YT channels, which are 99 Percentile Club and Let's Crack Verbal. These are 2 amazing channels for all of you. You can follow them, you can share them, you can join us every day for these sessions. Thank you so much everyone for joining in for this session. I hope this session was useful and that you will be continuing with us, and we will do a lot of wonderful preparation for CAT 2023 and 24. Connect with me on Unacademy using Abhilasha_S or on Telegram using MBA CAT 23. My referral code is AbhiCatLive, so you can use that to join Unacademy Plus courses also. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.